Okay, so moving on to question number 3 of the 2020 theory paper. It goes as Ashan works in an office with a network. He uses his smartphone to make an online video call. Which one of these does Ashan need to do this? Okay, so in order to make an online video call, he would require a WAN, which is a wide area network. He would have to be connected to a wide area network. The best example for the wide area network is the internet. Okay, so he would have to be connected to this network in order to make an online video call. Okay, right. Moving on to the next one, it says, describe how high latency affects his experience of the video call. Okay, so high latency means there is a delay in receiving the data. Okay, there's a bit of a delay in receiving the data. That's what high latency means. Okay, so describe how high latency can affect the experience of his video call. So many things can happen. We can say, for example, the actions in the video and the sound may not be synced together. They may not happen together at the same time. Okay, so you may see the person talking and then few seconds later the sound appears. So you can say the two are not synced. Something else you can talk about, the video quality. The video quality in the call may not be very clear. It may appear blurry. Okay, something else that you can talk about is that it may lag. Okay, the entire call may lag, where it may get stuck for some time. Okay, so let us take one and explain it well so we can talk about it. You can say high latency can cause his video call to lag, which means the video and audio of the call would not be synced together. They would happen not in. Okay, so this is one description you could give. Another description you could talk about the fact that the video would be blurry. The video call would be extremely blurry. You would not be able to see the others on the video call. Okay, you can even talk about this. Okay, right. Moving on to the next one. It says state 3 ways in which latency can be reduced. Okay, so 3 ways that it can be reduced is, one is you will have to reduce the distance from your device to your router. Okay, so the distance from your device to the router, you can reduce that distance. So you can say reduce, you can say, who are we talking about? Ashan. Ashan should reduce the distance between his device and the router, for example. Okay, then for example, he should for example, reduce the number of devices using that network. Okay, for example, if he's using a network where there are many other people also using it, it's definitely going to be slow. Okay, latency is going to go up. So you can also talk about the fact that Ashan should ensure that others are not using the network, or he should ensure to reduce the number of devices using or accessing the network. Okay, he should reduce the other devices that are accessing this network. Okay, then ideally speaking, he should use a wired network. Okay, so if he uses a wired network, what we call is the chances of interference taking place. Okay, the chances of the signal losing its strength, these are eliminated when you use a wired connection. Okay, so we can also mention that it would be best if we can use a wired connection. Okay, instead of wireless, use a wired connection. Okay, then something else we can talk about, if he is still using a wireless connection, we can also go on to say reduce the physical blockages. Okay, the distance from between his device and the router, in between, if there are too many physical obstacles, walls, furniture, doors, things like that in between, the strength of the signal is going to keep reducing. Okay, and this is going to increase latency. Okay, so he can try reducing the physical blockages that exist between his device and the router. Okay, you can also note that down, but remember to keep it only to 3 answers. Okay, right. The next question goes as state the role of an ISP. So ISP stands for Internet Service Provider. So Internet Service Provider is an organization, or is basically a company that provides organizations with an internet connection. Okay, so you can say the ISP provides individuals or organizations with access to the internet for a fee. Okay, so you will definitely have to pay for it. It might be a monthly fee, it might be a usage fee. Okay, but ISPs are responsible for providing you with access to the internet. Okay, right. So moving on to the next question, C. It says state the function of a gateway. Okay, so when we talk about a gateway's function is very simple. It connects two different networks. That's all what it does. Okay, so at home, you have your own local area network. At home, you have your smartphone, your tab, your laptop, okay, and a few other devices all connected to one router. So there you have a local area network. Now, from this router, you are going to be connected to the internet. You're going to be connected to the wide area network. So that connection from local area network to the internet, or from local area network to the wide area network, that part is what we call gateway. Okay, so a gateway, the function of a gateway is solely to connect two different types of networks. So if you want, you can also give an example. For example, connecting a local area network within a house to the internet, which is a wide area network. Okay, so you can say the function is to connect two different, or is to connect one network to another network. Okay, example, connecting a LAN to WAN. Okay, local area network to the internet, which is a wide area network. Okay, right. Moving on to the next question, D. It says describe two benefits of using a client to server network. Okay, so there are two types of network architectures. You have peer-to-peer and you have client to server. In peer-to-peer, you have devices simply connected to each other. But in client to server, you have a server that is connected to the clients, or all the clients that are connected to a server computer. So they're asking you to describe two benefits of this network architecture. Okay, so there are multiple benefits. I'll try to mention as many as possible. Benefit number one is we can talk about the fact that backup is centralized. Okay, so basically what happens is all the work that happens in the client's devices, they are all backed up to one location. They are all backed up to the server computer. They are not backed up on each client's device. No, that doesn't happen. In a client to server network, the backup is centrally administrated, or it's centrally managed. Okay, all files are stored in one central storage. Okay, so even if the client devices fail, even if the client's device fails, or the client's device is no longer working, no worries, no problem, because the data has been backed up to the server computer. Okay, so let's get that point down first. You can say in a client to server network, the data within the network is centrally backed up to the server computer. Okay, so if any client device fails, the data would not be affected, as it is being backed up on the server computer. Okay, so this is just one benefit that I have mentioned. Another benefit that we can talk about when it comes to client to server networks is something known as roaming profiles. Okay, so you can get onto any client computer. Now, since all the clients are connected to this one server computer, you can get onto any client computer and access your files as long as you know your username and password. Okay, now, if you think about Facebook, for example, Facebook uses a client to server architecture. So Facebook has their server computers and all other devices are clients. So you can use any device As long as you put the correct username and password or the correct email and password, once you put the correct email and password, it doesn't matter whether it is your smartphone or your tab or your laptop or my laptop, it doesn't matter. As long as you get the correct username and password, you will be able to access your files. This is what we call roaming profiles. Okay, you can use any of the client devices, any of the connected client devices in order to access your files that are stored on the server computer. Okay, let's get that down as well. You can say roaming profiles is another benefit where users can use any of the connected client devices to access their files on the server. Okay, right. So there are other benefits that you can also talk. You can talk about the fact that, for example, software is centrally managed. So when it comes to a client to server architecture, what happens is you install the software on the server computer, and then this software can be shared with all the client devices. Normally, what would happen is if this architecture was not there, you would have to manually install the software on each client device. This is a major process. But when you have a client to server architecture, you install the software on the server, and then the server will share the software with all the clients that are connected to it. Okay, so that's another benefit that you can also mention, but remember to keep it only to 2. Okay. Then you can also talk one more thing, and then we'll move on to the next question, which is the fact that in a client to server network, in a client to server network architecture, the server computer can also behave like a storage device where everybody stores their files. All the clients stores their files in one central location, which is the server computer. Okay, so all the files are stored in one centralized location, which is the server computer. You don't have files on each person's device, on each client's device. No, all the data is instead stored in one central location, which is the server computer. Okay, right? So what's the benefit of this? You can talk about the fact that collaborative working can be achieved through this process. When you have all the files in one central location, then clients from their own devices can access these files, and they can all work together upon the same file. This is known as collaborative working. Okay, so this is another benefit of using a client to server network. Okay, right. Okay, so that's enough benefits. Let's move on to question number E, where it says, which one of these is a method of identifying a computer on a network? So when it comes to identifying a computer on a network, it uses something known as an IP address. Okay. Okay, so when a router wants to identify your device, it identifies your IP address. So every device will have a unique address, which is known as an IP address. Okay. HTTP is a protocol. FTP is also a protocol. HTTP is used to define the rules in loading a web page, while FTP is used to define the rules in uploading and downloading files on the internet. WEP is wireless encryption protocol. Okay, so this is used for wireless networks in order to secure the data. Okay, right. Which one of these is a feature of a media access control address? So when we say media access control address, we're talking about MAC address. Okay, so any device that connects to a network, three things are identified. One is its IP address. Its IP address will be recorded, and every device will have a unique IP address. The next thing that is recorded is something known as a MAC address, and every device will have a unique MAC address. And the third thing that is recorded is the device name. But device name is not very strong because multiple devices can have the same device name. Okay, so coming back to what we were talking about, when you connect to a network, three things are recorded: IP address, MAC address, and your device name. Okay, so they're asking you what is a feature of this MAC address, of this media access control. It is unique. Okay, two devices will never have the same MAC address. Okay, every device has a unique MAC address. Okay, so over here you can say B, answer B, it is unique. Just one more piece of information to you. The MAC address of your device is assigned to a component in your smartphone or in your laptop or in your tab. In your tab, you will have a component known as a network interface card. Okay, any device that can connect to a network, it might be your smartphone, it might be your tab, it might be your iPod, whatever device that can connect to a network will have something known as a network interface card. Okay, because it has a network interface card only, it can connect to a network. Okay, every network interface card has a unique address, has a unique number. Okay, this number is what's known as the MAC address. Okay, right. Question G, which says Ashan tells Sachini that her smartphone will not be able to use her location as she is not connected to the internet. State the reason why Ashan is wrong. Okay, so as you know, guys, when it comes to detecting your location, it does not always use the internet. It can also use information that it receives from the satellite. Okay, so you can also mention this. We can mention this. You can say detecting of location can be done by communicating with the satellite. Okay, and also talk about this. Okay, so when we talk about satellite, you should, or there's something else that we should mention. Can be done by communicating the satellite using GPS. Okay, so it uses a technology called GPS. Okay, so GPS gets signals from the satellite and then your location is detected. Okay, so GPS stands for Global Positioning System. Okay. Okay, moving on to the next question. It says, Ashan needs to print some documents. Explain two ways an inkjet printer performs differently to a laser printer. Okay, so these are two different types of printers, inkjet printers and laser printers. So we know inkjet printers are generally printers that support color printing. And these are generally printers that you can purchase for a low cost. However, the running cost of inkjet printers are expensive. Okay, while on the other hand, you have laser printers. Laser printers, the purchasing cost is high, but the running cost is very low. With one toner, you can do about 20,000 copies. Okay, running cost for laser printers is very, very low. Okay, so they're asking two different ways on how they perform and how they work. Okay, so let us get on to the first one. You can say inkjet printers. Inkjet printers. So guys, inkjet printers, what they do is they spray ink onto the paper. Okay, inkjet printers spray ink onto the paper. So this is a good thing and a bad thing. I'll tell you both sides. Now, since the ink is being sprayed onto the paper, when the paper comes out, the paper feels a little damp, okay, because ink has been sprayed onto it. And as soon as the paper comes out, you should not be touching the parts where ink has been sprayed, because if you touch it too quickly, the ink can get smudged. So your printout can get smudged. You have to give it a few seconds for the ink to dry, because since it has been sprayed, okay, it's still not properly, stuck onto the paper. So when the paper comes up, maybe for a few seconds, you just let it be as it is before you go and touch it. Okay. So we'll talk about it in terms of a problem. We can say inkjet printers spray the ink onto the paper. Okay. So sometimes this can lead to the paper printout. So the printout getting smudged, thus reducing the quality of the printout. Okay. But there is also something else, something good about this spraying fact. Now, since the ink is being sprayed, okay, in an inkjet printer, the ink is being sprayed. So when these, what do you call it? When the ink is being sprayed onto the paper, these droplets, okay, they can, produce a wide range of colors, okay? The colors are much sharper than the colors you would notice in a laser printer. Okay, now I'm going to repeat myself again. In an inkjet printer, ink is sprayed onto the paper. Okay, I just told you the problem that comes out with this spraying. This spraying can also be used as an advantage. It can also be a good thing, because when the ink is sprayed, when the droplets are sprayed onto the paper, they tend to put out better colors, or they tend to form better colors than what a laser printer will be able to form. Okay, so you can write that. You can either write the bad side of the spraying effect, or you can write the good side of the spraying effect. Okay, right. Let's talk about another way that they perform differently. Inkjet printers, guys, if you have ever used it, you would notice inkjet printers produce printouts a little slower than laser printers. Laser printers are super fast. Paper goes in, paper comes. It happens within a second. Okay, it goes in, it comes out. Okay, it happens very, very fast. But inkjet printers are generally a little slower than laser printers. The reason they are slightly slower is because we have something called a print head. Okay, so we have something called a print head inside the printer. Okay, and basically what the print head does is the print head has all the ink. Okay, so you have various colors. You have about 4 different colors inside the inkjet printer. The print head is holding these 4 colors, and this print head is moving forward, backward, forward, backward, forward, backward, spraying the ink and printing characters. So this process takes time. Okay, which is why inkjet printers produce printouts slower than laser printers. Okay, so we can note that down as well. You can say inkjet printers, or we'll write it slightly different. We'll say laser printers produce printouts faster than inkjet printers. Okay, the reason inkjet is slower is because the print head, it's one word, in the print head in an inkjet printer moves forwards and backwards in printing characters. Okay, you can say something like this. Okay, because the print head in the inkjet printer moves forwards and backwards in printing the character. Okay. Okay, so I hope that's clear. I have explained 2 ways in how they perform differently. Okay, right. With that, we have come to the end of question number 3. Okay, in our next video, we move on to question number 4. Okay, see you guys in the next video.